She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show. Today on the Dani Johnson Show, join us live from First Steps to Success Spiritual Equipping.
So we're going to start in Malachi chapter 3. We're going to start with verse 1. If you have the best success book ever written, read along. I'm going to speak in Hebrew whenever it says a Hebrew. Okay, I'm going to do my best to do that. Okay, says this. See, I am sending my messenger. Your Bible probably says angel, but the Hebrew translation is really messenger. It's not angel. And he shall prepare the way before me. Then suddenly the master you are seeking comes to his hekel, which means temple, even the messenger of the covenant in whom you delight. See, he is coming, and said Yahweh of hosts. That's his name, by the way. Okay, listen carefully. I love it when I figured this one out. This is amazing. I think it was God that helped me figure it out, obviously. Okay, God is a function. That's his job. The creator of the heavens and the earth, he rules the universe. Okay, that's his job. CEO of the universe. He has a name. He's also your father. He has a name. His name is a Hebrew name. When they translated the Bible, they took his name out. Which, if you remember back at the original 10 Commandments, the Torah, where it says, you shall not bring my name to nothing. And yet the English translators took his name out. The literal translation of you shall not use my name in vain, that's not what it says. It says you shall not bring my name to nothing. You shall not bring my name to nothing. And people have translated into, oh, you shouldn't say God. No, you're not supposed to bring his name to nothing. And so the English translations of our Bibles took his name completely out, and they just call him by his function. They call him by his title instead of by his name. That's like man, woman, hey woman, hey man, and not having a name. But you're called by your gender. He's called by his position instead of by his name. You think about all the songs that say something about his name, but they never call in his name. Interesting, isn't it? Okay, and who is able to bear the day of his coming, and who is able to stand when he appears? For he is like a fire of a refiner and like a soap of a launderer. And he shall sit as a refiner and a cleanser of silver. And he shall cleanse the sons of Levi. Oh, wait, L-E-W-I. Have you guys ever heard that brand of jeans? Levi, guess who? It's a Jew. Yeah. Levi Strauss is one of the Levites. The creator of Levi Strauss jeans is a Levite from the tribe of Levi. And it's very successful. Why? Because the promise of Abraham is still alive today. That he would bless those that bless him and curse those that curse them. Okay, so here it is. And he shall cleanse the sons of Levi and refine them as gold and silver, and they shall belong to Yahweh, bringing near an offering in righteousness. Then shall the offering of Yehuda and Yerushalayim, that's Judah and Jerusalem, be pleasant to Yahweh as in the days of old, as in former years. And I shall draw near to you for right ruling, and I shall be swift witness against the practicers of witchcraft. Thank God I don't do that anymore. And against the adulterers. Thank God I don't. Turn to your neighbor and say, thank God I don't do that anymore. Okay. Thank God I don't do that anymore. Okay. And against those who oppress the wage earner in his wages. I'm going to say that again. And against those who oppress the wage earner in his wages, and the widow, and the fatherless, and those who turn away a sojourner, a stranger, and do not fear me, says Yahweh of hosts. For I am Yahweh, and I shall not change, and you, O sons of Yaakov, shall not come to an end. That's Jacob. From the days of your fathers, you have turned aside from my laws and did not guard them. Turn back to me, and I shall turn back to you. And Yahweh of hosts, says Yahweh of hosts, but you said, in what shall we turn back? Would a man rob Elohim? Elohim is Hebrew for God, and it's actually plural. Elohim, him is plural. It means El is God, but plural. Isn't that so interesting? Just sit on that for a second. Would a man rob Elohim? Yet you are robbing me. But you said, and what have we robbed you? You know this, right? You've heard this at church. This is how they get the money out of your pocket. In the tithe and the offering. You have cursed me with a curse, for you are robbing me, this nation, all of it. Bring all the tithes into the storehouse, and let there be food in my house. And please prove me in this, says Yahweh of hosts, whether I do not open for you the windows of heaven and shall pour out for you boundless blessing. I shall rebuke the devourer from you, so that it does not destroy the fruit of your ground, nor does the vine fail to bear fruit for you in the field, says Yahweh of hosts. And all nations shall call you blessed, for you shall be a land of delight, says Yahweh of hosts. Your words have been strong against me, says Yahweh, but you have said, what have we spoken against you? You have said, it is worthless for us to serve Elohim, and what did we gain when we guarded his charge, and when we walked as mourners before Yahweh of hosts? And now we are calling the proud blessed. Not only are the doers of the wrongness built up, but they also try Elohim and escape. Then shall those who fear Yahweh speak to one another, and Yahweh listens and hears, and a book of remembrance will be written before him, and those who fear Yahweh and those who think upon his name. I'm going to stop right there. How many of you have heard part of this passage before? Here's the question. When I read this, I said this. Wait a second. Bring all the tithes into the storehouse and let there be food in my house. Bring the tithes to the storehouse and let there be food in my house. And if you do this, what is it? What's the promise? I shall rebuke the devourer for you. Some of you have a devourer in your business. Some of you have a devourer in your finances. Some of you have a devourer in your health. Some of you, the devourer has been released over your marriage. Some of you, the devourer has been released over your kids. You know who you are. And he says, I shall rebuke the devourer for you, so that it does not destroy the fruit of your ground, nor does the vine fail. This is a word for right now, here today for 2018. So this is what it made me do. Wait a second. There's food in my storehouse. Who's the food for? That's the first question that came to my head. Who is the food for? We are about to find out. And we're about to connect the dots of something that happens every 3 years. First. So if you want to write this down, it's Leviticus 27, 30, and 32. Listen carefully.
Okay. And all the tithes of the land, whether of the seed of the land or of the fruit of the tree, is the Lord's. Of the fruit of the tree is the Lord's, and is holy to the Lord.
Stop. The word holy in Hebrew is kadosh. Kadosh does not have the same meaning of holy as you and I understand it. The way we understand holy, well, tell me, what does holy mean to you?
Pure.
It means you go to church every week and you tithe. What does it mean? You go to Bible study every Wednesday. That we don't cuss. We don't drink. We don't smoke, and we don't hang out with people that do. What does holy mean? Come on, tell me. Tell me what we have learned through Sunday school and going to church, what holy means.
Very good.
Being good. Good, so good. We're so good. It's good boy, good girl. Okay? We are worthy. Okay? What else? We're sinless. We're perfect. We're perfect. Righteous, right? Doesn't righteous, and how many of you think righteous means perfect? It means I'm perfect and I'm sinless. I never do anything bad. How many of you, this was your understanding of what holy means? Okay? Well, the word kadosh, which is how they translated the word holy, you see, everything has to do with definitions. Everything has to do with definitions and our interpretation of a word. So the Hebrew word where it reads holy in your Bible is actually the word kadosh or even kadesh. And what kadosh means, the literal meaning is set apart. That's it. Set apart. That's it. So for example, a bride is set apart. And she's wearing a dress that is set apart. The groom is set apart for something that is set apart. There are more things in the Bible, things that are set apart, than there are people. No joke. The temple was set apart. The land of Israel is set apart. Yes. So listen. So the anointing oil was set apart. So it's this special oil that is set aside that you don't use for cooking. But it's the same oil that you cook with. It's the same oil that you dip your bread in, but this one right here is only set apart. This is special. It has only one use. And this use, there was one particular oil that was to anoint Aaron and his sons. No one else could have that combination of oils and fragrances and leaves and spices. Literally, it was given, it's right in the Bible, it tells you exactly what the formula was. And it says, no one else can have this oil. This oil is set apart. A husband and a wife are set apart for each other and only for each other. Okay? So all through the Bible, you see all kinds of things that have the word holy attached to it. I don't know if you've ever looked, I don't know if you've ever gone, how could a river be holy? It's set apart. That's all it means. How many of you have some special clothing that you go to special functions in? That clothing is set apart. Do you understand? Okay. How many of you have certain foods that are for special occasions? That food is set apart. So the word holy means set apart. Now, hold on. So what was holy? What was set apart? Use the word set apart.
Okay. It said it is holy. Okay.
What is?
Okay. It says all the tithes.
Tithe, hold on.
Of the land.
Hold on.
Okay.
All the tithe of the land, tithe, the literal translation of the word tithe is tenth. The literal translation is tenth. So all the tenth of the land is set apart for Yahweh. Mm-hmm. Listen to me carefully. So all of the globe, 10% of it is set apart and is his.
Amen.
The other 90 is ours. So it was a tenth of the crops, a tenth of the animals. Do you understand? And why? Because that was our money back then. That was our, what do you call that? Currency. Our currency, if I'm a chicken farmer, my currency is chickens. Okay? And if you grow apples, yours are apples, that's your currency. I got chickens, I want some apples. You want some chickens? I want some apples. So we buy from each other with our currency. Do you understand? And 10% of that currency, 10% of my chickens belongs to him. It's his only. It's set apart for him. So it's like this. How many of you give once in a while to your church or whatever? Okay? All right, cool. That is supposed to be a set apart thing. But if you pay that like you pay a bill, is it set apart? It's not set apart if you pay it like you're paying a bill. You're just writing a check like you write your electric bill check. Do you hear me? This is not set apart, is it? It's like paying a debt. So the land set apart. Let's go to the next one. If we can pass the mic to the next one. Just follow along. Some of this you know, but you're about to learn something that maybe you don't know.
Numbers 18, 20, and 21.
I like your accent.
And the Lord said to Aaron, you shall have no inheritance in their land, neither shall you have any portion among them. I am your portion and your inheritance among the people of Israel. To the Levites I have given every tithe in Israel for an inheritance.
What? Wait a second, must have screwed something up there. Can you say that again?
To the Levites I have given every tithe in Israel.
Wait. To the Levites I have given every tithe? So who's supposed to get the tithe? Who? The Levites, who are actually a real person, a real tribe, a real people. So the tithe is supposed to go to who? The Levites? And to Aaron, the priest. And Aaron was a Levite. Aaron is of the tribe of Levi. God set apart the Levites. And why was the tithe to go to them? Can you start at the top again?
And the Lord said to Aaron, you shall have no inheritance apart.
Stop right there. God said to Aaron, you will have no inheritance of the land. I am your inheritance. So therefore the tithe goes to you. The tithe is supposed to go to the line of Aaron and the Levites. It says it right there. And it also says this is a mandate for all generations. This is an everlasting covenant for all generations. Now we're coming to the place where Dani can get flogged. And I don't care. The tithe and the offering are supposed to go to the children of Israel, of the land of Levi. The people of Levi. Why? Because they were not given any land. They were not given any inheritance. Their job was to minister to Yahweh 24/7. But somebody along the way decided to call themselves priests. Someone along the way decided to call themselves priests that were not of the tribe of Levi. So if I go to seminary and I become a pastor or a priest, then every time it says that the tithe and the offering is supposed to go to the priest, they think they're talking about them. We have robbed the tribe of Levi of their inheritance. We have robbed the tribe of Levi of their everlasting covenant, of their inheritance, of their portion. By what? Assuming that we are them. They're still on the earth. That covenant is still real. And there's a great opportunity that we have right now. Please take a deep breath. Because I can see the, oh crap, all over your face. And you're kind of scaring me. Okay, listen. We are responsible for what we know. We're responsible for what we know. We're not responsible for what we don't know. But you're about to learn something. And the reason why you are chosen to learn it is because you actually will have part of an inheritance for doing it. So just listen, it's very powerful. Yeah. Some of you right now want to argue with me with the Bible. If you have read it 13 times, cover to cover, let's go, baby. But if you've gone to seminary and all you read was commentary on the Bible, I will not even have the conversation with you. You go read the book yourself without man's influence and then come talk to me about what you want to argue about this one right here. Get man's commentary out of your head and start reading it for what it says. Read it for what it says. Because it's real. And here's the other deal. So right here we see a tenth is his, and that tenth is supposed to be the inheritance of a specific people. A set apart people. A set apart people for this specific thing. Pass the mic, let's go. You're like, what? You're like reading on, huh?
This is Deuteronomy 12:19. Take heed to thyself that thou forsaketh not the Levite, as long as thou livest upon the earth.
Whoa! Take heed that you do not forsake the Levite as long as you are living on the earth. Take heed that you do not forsake the Levite for as long as you are living on the earth. Have we forsaken the Levite? Show of hands. Have we forsaken the Levite? Yes, we have. Next.
Deuteronomy 14:22. Be sure to set aside a tenth of all that your fields produce each year.
Perfect. Next. This is 28 and 29.
Yeah, Deuteronomy 14:28 and 29. At the end of every 3 years, bring all the tithes of that year's produce and store it in your towns, so that the Levites and the foreigners and the fatherless and the widows who live in your towns may come and eat and be satisfied, and so that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work of your hands.
Read it again.
At the end of every 3 years, bring all the tithes of that year's produce and store it in your towns, so that the Levites and the foreigners and the fatherless and the widows who live in your towns may come and eat and be satisfied, and so that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work of your hands.
What's the promise? Wait, first of all, who is the tithe for? And what is it for? Food. It's food for who?
Foreigners,
The widows,
orphans.
the orphans, okay? And the Levites. Now, before we go any further, I want to point this out. Here's the picture that I had explode in my head when I found these passages, because it blew my mind. I told you there's 2,500 passages in the Bible that talk about money, okay? We're only going through a couple of them. So here's what it is. This is amazing. So here God says in Malachi, hey, listen, you've been robbing me, but really who was being robbed? The Levites, the orphan, the widow, the trafficked, the poor was being robbed. Bring all of the tithe of the land, so there will be food in my storehouse. So that people can eat. And there was a tithe taken every week. And depending on what you farmed, like for example, you got chickens, they lay eggs daily. So you bring a tenth of your eggs every week. Do you understand? But if you're a farmer and you have a crop that only busts out during the summer, well then your tithe would come when? After your harvest. Do you understand? If you have a certain animal that foals once a year, then you bring a tenth of the new babies once a year. Do you hear what I'm saying? Okay, so for some there was like weekly because they made money weekly. For others, they made them every 3 months. For others, it was a once a year thing, okay? So there was food. Can you picture this with me, okay? Just picture this. Just picture this. There are thousands and thousands and thousands at this time, Levites, all in the land of Israel. Thousands and thousands of them, right? Moms and dads and children, moms and dads and children. The way that the priesthood worked is that they had a priest once a week during the week that it was their turn to serve, the high priest. It was their turn to serve. So they had 26, I believe, something like that. It was 2 weeks, sorry. 2 weeks that they served half of the 52 is 26. Yeah, so it was 26 of them, okay? So listen carefully, follow along. This is really important. So I want you to picture this. You have a couple million people bringing to the temple weekly food. Hello? Couple million people dropping off oil, wine, sheep, goats, grain. Are you chickens? Are you hearing what I'm saying? It's like a Walmart distribution center. It seriously is. It's like a Walmart distribution center. This is the picture I had in my head. I went, oh my gosh. Because in my modern life, we have been a tither for over 20 years. And God has protected our finances, okay? We have been blessed financially. But once we started directing our tithe, not to the building that we went to, but we directed it to the poor, that's when we started to create wealth. Wow. And only then. Actually, we've been tithing for, 25 years. Since I started walking with God again, 25 years. But it wasn't until we started pointing our money, our giving, to the poor. When we started doing that, wealth has been created. And we have been protected no matter what has happened in the economy. He says that I will be your rear guard and your banner before you if you take care of the poor. That's what he says. Okay, so there's tons of promises that have to do with the poor. But when I came to this place of like, okay, bring all this tithe to the storehouse so that my people will eat. Then I'm having the picture, I'm like, whoa, there's 2 million of them. They're all growing something. And they're bringing it every week to this building. So guess what the Levites' job was? Distributing the food. So that actually created jobs for them. They had to manage all the sheep. They had to manage the corn. They had to manage the barley. Do you understand what I'm saying? So these guys were actually working. They weren't sitting on their butts doing nothing. Wow. They were physically working. Do you hear me? Could you imagine 2 million goats coming to the building? Just think about it. Come on, just think about it, friends. Could you imagine all that grain? Could you imagine all the vats of wine, all the vats of oil that's showing up? What, they just drop it off and it becomes a big heap? No, the Levites were the ones that had to organize all of that stuff. And there were thousands of them. Thousands of them. What did their wives do? Their wives tended to the children and the home. The home that actually had to be leased or given to them by somebody else. They had to rent it from someone else because they were not allowed to buy a home. They were not allowed to own anything. Nothing. God was their inheritance. So can you picture the Walmart distribution center? Yeah. So they actually had jobs. They weren't freeloaders. Understood? So they had to distribute all this food to all the families. They had to distribute it and take care of the poor. The Levites' mandate had the responsibility to take care of the widow, the sick, and the poor. The orphan, the fatherless. That was their job. So it's very clear. Where's the tithe supposed to go? To the Levites, who are then to do what with it? So can we read that again? Wait, you said what? What did you say? What was yours again?
Be sure to set aside a tenth of all that your fields produce each year.
And at the end of every 3 years, bring all the tithes of that year's produce and store it in your towns, so that the Levites and the foreigners, the fatherless and the widows who live in your towns may come and eat and be satisfied, and so that the Lord your God may bless you in all the work of your hands.
So every 3 years, there was a tribute offering. Every 3 years, there was a tribute offering. Now, check this one out. This will blow your mind. So now, all of these Israelites are supposed to come to the temple, and this is what it says. Bring your offering. Bring me the best of it, and I want you to eat it at the temple with me. Yes. What? Says, bring your offering, and I want you to eat it. Bring it, set it apart. Bring me the best wine. You made wine this year? Bring the best. Now I want you to come and drink it at the temple. Bring the best oil. I want you to eat it with that bread at the temple. Bring your best lamb. Come to the temple and I want you to eat it. I want you to enjoy and have a feast. It's a feast of joy and gladness. And then there was a time for the poor to have the same every 3 years.
That's good.
Every 3 years. So every 3 years, there was a tribute offering. And it was off the increase of the land. Listen to me carefully. Listen to me carefully. I pray you connect the dots. I believe that God gave us this message about playing to win. Because this is the year that you're going to win, and you're going to win big. I believe it with my whole heart.
Come on.
This is the year you're going to win, and you're going to win big. You're going to win in places that you've lost for years. This is the year that you're going to win, and you're going to win big. And then all of a sudden, I'm traveling through my Bible just chronologically, and here's this thing about Malachi. And then the question is well, who is it for? And then here's this message of, hey, don't forsake the Levite. Take care of the Levite. And every 3 years, there is a bumper crop. Every 3 years, there's a bumper crop.
Yeah.
Every 3 years, and this is what he says. Now, your translation didn't translate it completely from the Hebrew, but it says in the original Hebrew, it says this: bring all the tenth of the increase. Every 3 years, God brings a bumper crop. Do any of you not know what a bumper crop is? Okay, a bumper crop is extra. That every 3 years, okay, there's this much, but every 3 years, boop. It could be a doubling, it could be a tripling, it could be 10% more, okay? Do you understand? So it's an increase. So he says, bring me a tenth of the increase. At the same time, we have this message of play to win in 2018. And 2018, hear me, 2018 is 5,778. Which this is the tribute year, according to the Hebrew calendar. The year of the Shemitah, the Sabbath year, was 3 years ago. It was 29th day of Elul, which was September of 2014. Went from 2014 to 2015. It was a whole year of the Sabbath year, the year of debt cancellation. 3 years from the Shemitah year is the bumper crop year. That's this year. It started last September. From the 29th day of Elul, which is around September, October every year, because the Hebrew calendar is different than the American one. So it started September of 2017, and it will go until September 2018. This is a year of increase, and what he's asking for is 10% of the increase. You keep the 90, I get the 10% of the increase. And that 10% of the increase is so that this year, this year, who wins? Well, you already win because you are in a year of increase. Did you hear what I'm saying? Yes. This is a year, this is a biblical year of increase.
So good.
This is a biblical year of increase. And who's it for?
Widows and orphans.
It's for us and the poor. It's for both. It's for the poor, it's for the widow, and it's for you. Because you will have the increase. And he's saying 10%, why? So they can rejoice. And they will have a year of gladness. And they will have a time of more. That this will be a good season for them. What a loving Father.
Yes.
What a loving Father. Next one.
Deuteronomy 26:12. When you have finished paying all the tithe of your produce in the 3rd year, which is the year of tithing, giving it to the Levite, the sojourner, the fatherless, and the widow, so that they may eat within your towns.
Wait, no, it must say so they can fly in private jets.
Yeah, that's
Give the
that's my clip
tithe
notes.
so we can build a $17 million church building. Give the tithe so we can have $1 million in just pews. Give the tithe so that we can have a $17 million painted ceiling. Give the tithe so that your pastor can actually fly his $25 million jet from Florida to LA every Sunday and preach over here on Sunday, and then Sunday 3 hours later preach over there. Give the tithe so they can live in $1 million houses. Give the tithe. This is where Dani gets flogged. Give the tithe. Give the tithe. This is where Dani gets flogged. This is why I taught this on the radio about 8 years ago instead of in face-to-face with anybody. So I couldn't see the people that were steaming at me that had rocks to stone me with. Give the tithe. Give the tithe so that they can have a Rolex watch. Give the tithe so they can have a $100,000 vacation. Give the tithe. No. You are learning something that most people who have walked this earth have never learned. And why? Because they don't want to see it. Because we much rather walk in our culture, our religious culture, than to actually follow him. And we get robbed of the blessing because we are blinded by our culture instead of listening to what he's saying. He's given straight out instructions of what to do. Read that again. So it's give all the 10% of the increase of your land every 3 years and give it to the who?
To the Levite.
Wait, to who?
To the Levite.
Not evangelist so-and-so? Not prophet so-and-so and prophetess so-and-so? You're like, wait a minute, Dani, what does this mean? What I can tell you is that when Paul gave instructions to give a contribution, never called it a tithe, never called it an offering. Why? He knew better. Because he knew the tithe was set apart for who? The Levites. Therefore, he never, ever, ever said, thank you for tithing to me while I was in prison. He never, ever, ever said to bring your tithes to us. Remember, he was a Hebrew of all Hebrews. So now you might be like, but wait a second. No, that's under the law. That's under the law. We're now under grace. Okay, have fun with that. We don't need the law anymore. So do you still follow the 10 Commandments? That's the Torah. Wait. No, but wait. You can go ahead and hold on to your commentary. Or you can read the book. You follow the book, you get the blessing. So he called it a contribution, which is what? There's a friend in need, you help them. Do you understand? That was contributing, but that was not a tithe or an offering. Jesus, remember when he healed one of the guys, the blind, what did he tell that guy? What did he tell the guy that he healed that was blind? The young kid that was blind. You're like, what? Go to the temple and give your offering. Somebody got healed, they were supposed to give an offering of thanksgiving. So even Yeshua, Jesus, instructed us where we're supposed to give our offering. He never asked for one. Hello? He never asked for one. But he even told the one that received the blessing of healing to go and give his offering to the temple, to the priest. Who was the priest? Aaron. The offering went to Aaron, the tithe went to the Levites. So when I found this years ago, right away, I fell to my knees. I'm like, Father, forgive me for all the times that I didn't know that I gave a tithe to not a Levite. And then I went, Father, show me where the Levites are. Because I have to read something to you. Turn to 2 Chronicles 31. And by the way, I really encourage you to get this Bible because I'm going to tell you why. It's so amazing. Okay, I have to tell you why. Because it's actually in the original order. Our American Bibles are not in the original Hebraic chronological order. When you read according to how they first canonized it, the way they did it, my gosh, it makes so much more sense. Okay, 31. Listen. Oh my gosh. This is, sorry, 2 Chronicles 31. 2 Chronicles 31. Okay, listen. This is about King Hezekiah. Okay. going to start at verse 4. And he said to the people, those who dwelt in Jerusalem, to give the portion for the priests and the Levites. You see, prior to this time, people stopped giving their tithe. They stopped bringing it. So the temple gets restored. This is during Hezekiah's time. Hezekiah, amazing king in all that he did in the land of Israel. Things that he did and built are still there to this day. So he's like, dude, we have screwed the heck up. We have been way off track, and if we want God to bless us, we better start doing what this says. There were several kings that did the same thing. There was an 8-year-old king that did the same thing. So check this out. So he says, and he said to the people, those who dwelt in Jerusalem, to give the portion for the priests and to give the portion who? For the who? Priests and the Levites, so that they are strengthened in the Torah of Yahweh. How are they strengthened in the Torah of Yahweh? Because it was Torah. They were just reading from Torah, by the way. Torah was the law. Yep, they were reading from it. All of us read from it, okay? So they can be strengthened by it. Why? Because God made a promise in all of those passages to the Levites, but during this time, the Israelites had forsaken the promise. So now we've got Levites out there going, they're not allowed to own anything. So what did they have to do? They had to turn their back on God to go and do what? Buy land, till the soil, are you with me? And do things they were not supposed to do. Instead of serving who? The poor. So because the masses turned away from God, therefore the poor was left to starve and fend for themselves. And now the God of Israel looked like some cheap guy who didn't have anything. He doesn't like that. So here you go. And as the word spread, the children of Israel brought large quantities of the first fruits of grain and wine and oil and honey and all of the increase of their field, and they brought in the tithe of all large amounts. Could you imagine how much is coming in? And the children of Israel and Yehudah, those who dwelt in the cities of Yehudah, brought the tithe of cattle and sheep, even the tithe of set-apart gifts, which were set apart to Yahweh, their Elohim, who brought it in, and they gave heaps and heaps. In the 3rd new moon, they began a pile-up heaps, and they finished in the 7th new moon. And Hizkiyahu, which is Hezekiah, and the leaders came and saw the heaps, and they blessed Yahweh and his people Israel. So look what's going on here. This is like so amazing. Go down to 16. Besides those male from 3 years old and up to who were written in the genealogy, they distributed to everyone who entered the house of Yahweh his daily portion for work of his service by division, and to the priests who were written in the genealogy according to their father's house, and to the Levites from 20 years old upward by their duties in their divisions, and to all listed in the genealogy, their little ones, their wives, their sons, their daughters, and the company of them, for their trustworthiness. They set themselves apart in set-apartness. Okay, scroll down. Verse 21. And in every, verse 20. And Hezekiah did this in all of Yehudah, and he did what was good and what was right and what was true before Yahweh his Elohim. And in every work that he began in the service of the house of Elohim, in the Torah and in the command to seek his Elohim with all his heart, and so he prospered. And so he prospered. God set up a financial government. And when we follow it, everyone eats and eats well. When we follow it, everyone prospers and prospers well. We are in a time where ain't no one following it. We're living in the same exact time of Hezekiah's time. We're in that same time. That other people created some other gods, some other rules, twisted around a few things, and they became the ones to receive something that they were not supposed to receive. Contributions? Sure, no problem. Let's pay for the lights of the building. Jets? Right here in this state, we have 2 of the largest mega churches in the freaking world. In the world. Right here in this state. Right here in this town. Dallas, Texas. Hundreds of millions of dollars Hundreds of millions of dollars given into these buildings. Hundreds of millions of dollars to build the buildings, to provide for the buildings. And no one's taking care of the poor. No one's taking care of the poor. Houston, hurricane hits. This enormous church wouldn't allow anyone a place of refuge until the news jumped all over them. And once the news jumped all over them, they said, okay, you can stay a couple days. Church has become a business, and a really profitable one. A really profitable one, sadly. So you now know what that says. Where's the tithe supposed to go? To the Levite. The Levite is supposed to distribute it. The tithe is their inheritance, and they are supposed to take care of the poor. So when I first found this years ago, I'm like, Lord, where's the Levites? I want to be like Hezekiah, man. Sign me up for that. Where's the Levites? I always felt there was something just not right. Every week I'm writing a big old fat check, and I know I'm just paying for someone's salary or I'm making someone's house payment for them. And they're living in $1 million house. Like, something didn't add up right. I don't know how you feel, but that just didn't set up right for me. I don't know if it's because I came from being a poor person. I don't know why. Other than I read this book and I'm like, something is not adding up. I'm one of those people, I want it to add up. Is there anybody else out there like me? Please tell me I'm the only crazy person in the room. I'm not saying that every pastor of every church is doing something wrong. Please do not hear that out of my mouth, because that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I have done something wrong because of what I did not know. And when I read that, it became very clear. Father, show me where the Levites are. You'll never guess. I'm literally in prayer. I'm on my floor and I'm weeping about this. And he says, I already have. These two you've been giving to for the last year. And guess what those two do? Take care of the poor. Those two take care of the poor. One has built an entire city of orphans. Migdal Or. And the team that is going to Israel is going to spend half a day in the city of orphans. It is a city built for orphans by orphans. And he is of the line of Aaron. Wow. 130,000 kids he and his wife have raised. 130,000 kids. Not crazy. You're gonna meet him. If you're going to Israel with us, you're gonna meet him. You're gonna see, hello, wait a second. Israel is set apart. Therefore, they're orphans. There's nothing like that. Those orphans are set apart. Those are his chosen people. So if you don't know any Levites, let me tell you something. We have a window in the calendar of opportunity right now, and we've got about 8 months left. And what's the window of opportunity? You commit to God 1/10 of your increase. And God, I'm going to give that 1/10 of the increase to the Levite who takes care of the poor, the sick, and the widow, the fatherless, and the trafficked, the kids who have been smuggled into the sex trade. And yes, that has happened in Israel. You make that commitment to him. God, I'm going to play to win this year. I'm going to play to win, as Hezekiah did, to restore the inheritance back to the poor, back to the Levite who has the mandate to take care of the poor. You can join the Levite in that mandate, you know. And if you do, because here's what the Bible says, that if you bless an Israelite, their blessing falls on you. That's what the Bible says. That if you take care of the Levite, you take care of the poor, then I will take care of you. It is 100-fold. That is soil that is really rich and really, really, really set apart. set apart. So, I challenge you. I'm going to do it. As soon as I found it, I'm like, that means increase! Yes! And it made sense why this play to win message has been here. The play to win message is preparing us for what? Increase. To win in the increase. If we're playing to win, we will what? Increase. If we're faithful with the little, we will what? Increase. Do you understand? We are being prepared every single month at these events, every day if you're pressing play, you're being prepared for the increase. And why? Because a tenth goes to who? The Levites and the poor. So how many of you do not know a Levite? I know several, because you know I've been searching them out. Right? I have a goal, actually. My goal is to give $1 million a year to the Levites and the poor of Israel. It's one of my goals, is $1 million a year straight to the poor of Israel. Right now, we're about $100,000 a month. Sorry, no, we're $100,000 a year. We're over $100,000 a year. We're over $100,000 a year to the Levite. Yeah, right over there. But the goal is $1 million. So I know some of them. I can help you find them. And you can tap into that blessing. By the way, King's Ransom has a Levite on staff. On purpose. King's Ransom has a Levite on staff. The Levite is the director of King's Ransom Israel. King's Ransom has an office in Israel. And there's a Levite that heads up that division as the director of King's Ransom Israel. He has no idea I'm teaching this message tonight. But I texted him a couple days. I'm like, dude, do you know what year this is? He's like, what? This is that year. And I explained it all to him. He's like, yeah, it is. I'm like, he goes, so what are you saying? Nothing. I'll let him figure it out. I said, get ready. Find me hundreds of orphans. Find hundreds of orphans right in the land of Israel, because the bumper crop is coming. The bumper crop is coming. This is going to be some of your greatest financial years of your entire life. In fact, Mariana, it already started, didn't it? She just had the greatest financial month of her entire life. Have you ever had a financial month like you just did in January? No. Guess why? This is the bumper crop year. Give it all away. King's Ransom. To Levite. A month later. She got a bonus and gave it towards a Levite. And then she just had her greatest month ever in her entire professional career. The best month of her entire life. And it was huge. It was huge. Enormous, yes. Say that again. I don't know. I don't understand what you said. But I trust you. This is a really precious man, by the way. A very precious man.
Can we encourage people to obey this for the sake of obeying, not simply to receive something?
Amen. 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 I agree with that. But I will take any greedy sucker's money and hand it right over to the Levite. Do you understand? So whether you know how to obey or not, I don't care. That's between you and God. But I know where the money goes. And it's going straight into the land of Israel this year. Do you understand? What an exciting thing that we have the opportunity to do what Hezekiah did. We also have the opportunity to do what Cyrus did, who wasn't even a Jew. He wasn't even an Israelite. He's a Persian guy who knew the Torah and rebuked the Israelites for not following it. and commanded them to bring their tithes and offerings to Yahweh so that they would be protected. He's like, do you know why you're demolished right now? Because you're not following your own Torah. Hello, McFly. It's right there. Everyone else knows it. How come you're not doing it? No joke. I mean, that's in English terms, but that's really what it says. Like, you need to start doing your tithes and your offerings again to Yahweh. You need to start taking care of the poor. You need to step up and do what your inheritance tells you to do. So, I don't know about you, but I am so excited about this year. I am so excited about the bumper crop year. I am so excited about the season of increase. I am so excited to see what God is going to do in various different ones of you who understand that the tithe is set apart for Him. It's not paying a bill. This is not some obligation. It's not even yours. It's His. It's His. He put you in charge of it so that you would take a portion of it and take care of the poor with it. It's His. It's not yours. He owns all of the earth. So He put you as a steward of a certain amount of it, and if you want the amount to grow, then you have to be faithful with the little things, which, by the way, comes from Matthew 25. That's straight out of Matthew 25. It's the parable of the talents. So He tells us exactly how to succeed financially, but this principle of giving is much bigger than just giving. He actually tells us exactly to who. Tells us exactly to who. So it's kind of like this. There's a target. Okay, give. Give and it shall be given unto you. Okay, that's a big old target, isn't it? But right now you just went, where's the red dot? Boom. You just found the red dot. If you give, you will receive, clearly. But if you give here, that's a total different thing. Do you understand? That's basically what this whole thing is about. Like, give and it'll be given to you. Absolutely. Shake down, press together, and running over. We heard it all our lives, didn't we? Okay? But this is like a very specific target. And I know that the target works. And so honestly, as scared as I was to talk to you about this, I am so relieved right now. Oh my gosh. I am so relieved, you have no idea. I have kept this thing hidden deep down in my heart for, I think, about 6 or 7 years now. Yeah, I have. How many of you heard me teach it on the radio all those years ago? I did. Yeah, I did a 4-part series on the tithe and the offering. Yeah, it was a 4-part series. This was the major abbreviated version of it. We went through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of scriptures every single Wednesday for an hour straight, 4 weeks in a row. And that you can find on the website. It's in if you're an insider, you have access to that training material on the website. If you want to go deep into all of it, go do it. I taught it with fear and trembling, as I learned it in fear and trembling. And God brought me into a deep study on it, forsaking everything that I knew already and everything that I thought. And I knew that we were off track as a people, but I didn't know we were that off track. And I'm saying this, that He honors what it is that you have given. Do you understand? He honors that. He absolutely honors that. But now you're responsible for what you know. You're clearly responsible for what you know. So if you choose to use the information for your benefit, that's great. I'm happy for you. If you choose not to, I pray for you. I pray for you, man. I pray for you. So I know some of the questions are, Dani, do I stop giving to my church? No. If your church is giving to the poor, you might want to say this is only for the poor, and you might want to hold them accountable to it. And if they're not, I'm pretty sure the lights are still going to stay on. Pretty sure the lights are still going to stay on, and you can start pointing it in the direction of the poor, and you're going to watch something change inside of your finances.
If 2018 is the year you plan to win in money, business, and relationships, you need to be in Washington, D.C., April 20th, 21st, and 22nd for First Steps to Success. Let Dani Johnson show you how to double your income, take control of your finances, and create rewarding relationships in every area of your life. Register today. Click the link in the video description. Thank you for watching, and have a blessed day.